The power of attitude. Much can and has been said about attitude, and most people believe that attitude is not only important to personal success, but a powerful influencer in relationships of all types. What I want to challenge you to do today is to evaluate your attitude according to one main criterion. In 2007-2008, Towers Perrin published its Global Workforce Study, which was a very large poll of 90,000 respondents in 18 nations. The study concluded that the number one driver of employee engagement was this: senior management's sincere interest in employee well-being. We've long known that people don't care about what you know until they know you care. This study affirmed, however, that most workers want their employers or supervisors to care about them, and in a way that recognizes the whole of their humanity, not only the quality of the tasks they perform for a company, and that is what truly makes them want to give their best for the company, more so than even pay. A key question to ask yourself is this: how do I sincerely display that I am concerned about the well-being of the people around me? This question applies to all areas of work and life. How do you show you care? One of the foremost ways is by being predictable in the petition of your own values, and by affording others around you a sense that they are secure in their relationship with you and that you value them. Another way is to help others establish patterns with you that support your relationship. I often ask my clients to write out a list of people who are important to them: family members, friends, mentors, co-workers who are team members, people who have sacrificed to help you, and so forth. And then to identify people by name in the various categories they've listed. And then to write next to each person's name how I show this person I care about their well-being. This exercise not only helps raise a person's awareness of well-being and of expressing care for others, but the list can help serve as a trigger to give more sincere compliments and words of appreciation, and to put in place a more regular series of encounters, by phone, note, or face-to-face meeting, over lunch or coffee, to bolster or renew relationships, showing you sincerely care about the well-being, including the security of those at work and in your personal life, is an important and clear way to change your day and energize others as well as yourself. Are you hopeful? A second question about your attitude: are you hopeful? Are you generally optimistic about both the present and the future? Don Boris, a technology futurist, has said, "Your view of the future shapes your actions today, and your actions today shape your future." My questions to many of my clients are: do you believe tomorrow can be better than today, and that 5 years from now, your life will be very much better than now? Do you believe things can and will improve? If you see the future in dark and ominous terms, your immediate tomorrow is likely to be a rather horrible abyss. On the other hand, if you refuse to give in to doom and gloom forecasts, negative predictions, and dire speculations, then you are likely to get through both today and tomorrow with a brighter outlook and more life-improving accomplishments. Do you have a deep feeling of confidence, a focus on well-being? A hopeful and optimistic outlook can sink deep into a person to create abiding confidence. In addition, confidence is rooted in a person's self-awareness that he has knowledge and skills that are valuable. Knowledge is information, including understanding how bits and pieces of information work together. Skills are abilities that can be learned, practiced, and developed to a state in which the doing of the skill is almost automatic. Skills are behavioral. Knowledge is mental. Confidence requires both. Do you have a deep feeling of confidence, a focus on well-being? A hopeful and optimistic outlook can sink deep into a person to create abiding confidence. The big three enemies of confidence. Do your utmost to guard your confidence and to avoid the foremost enemies of confidence. In my opinion, there are three major enemies of confidence, and every person is wise to know what they are to avoid them. None of these enemies, by the way, is rooted in self-esteem. A person can have very high self-esteem, related to his value, to his family, and people he admires, respects, or loves them, still not be confident in a workplace, especially if he is a new hire or if a particular field has changed faster than he has been able to keep up with it. The three true enemies of confidence are: 1. Perfectionism. A perfectionist will insist that everything is performed correctly or at 100% level before he or she will take on a task. Creating consistent positive momentum is a more productive mindset than perfectionism. 2. Pessimism. Pessimists know that perfection is not possible, and they often let this viewpoint discourage them from trying or giving their full efforts to progress. With pessimism as your reaction to challenges, it is easy to constantly battle dark, negative thoughts, especially ones of failure or of being blamed for a failure. 3. Procrastination. Out of a perspective of pessimism, a person often delays trying, since he sees no value in completion that doesn't include top-mark perfection. He puts off doing anything. All three of these enemies of confidence are descriptive of a person with one foot on the accelerator and the other on the brake. Work performance is herky-jerky, with very little forward progress and a growing loss of motivation and energy. Confidence is maintained by taking the 180-degree opposite approach. Take charge of your attitude and choose to be someone who does his best to be excellent, but who is also committed to being a completionist, a person who gets a job done. By staying optimistic, by having the belief that if you execute, the results will come, and by refusing to put off until tomorrow what you know can and should be done today. Forgive yesterday and work on today. It was a slate-gray Friday afternoon in Bentonville, Arkansas. I was sitting at a U-shaped table with 18 high-performance, high-stress people from the Gillette Company. This was our third monthly meeting. My role was to help them learn to stress right, which means to adopt the thought processes and daily patterns that work best in times of intense work demands. The agenda was in place. We would recap how each person did individually during the previous month, and then I'd present new goals and teach additional techniques for the coming month. The immediate goal they had been working on was actively focusing on the positive potential in their day, rather than seeing potential for disaster. The program was designed to encourage workers to focus on practical ways of achieving goals. It calls upon a person to focus more on what they have accomplished and less on where they fell short of the ideal, to essentially see the one in 7, the one who changes and sustains the changes in their own day. I began the meeting with a few quick remarks, and then said, "Okay, Sarah, let's start with you. If you met Sarah, you would consider her an optimistic, if not a bubbly person. She seemed to rush through one instance where she was doing well on the way to reveling in 3 examples of where she fell short." I paused the meeting and reminded everyone of the goal of the previous month and suggested that they begin with examples of where they were successful in seeing the 1 in 7 in themselves over the past month. Without fail, each person would rush through one positive example to give 3 or 4 areas where they tripped up. Sarah reported she continually thought about all the work she still had to do, the deadlines that were looming, falling behind, and feelings of potential failure. I learned something important during that meeting. Successful, hard-working, normally upbeat and optimistic people are often hard on themselves to an unproductive level. They are usually their own worst critics. They needed better bounce-back skills so they could spend more time in a productive state. My solution is this: thrivers forgive themselves faster. Core concept: thrivers forgive themselves faster. Not always, but very often, I find that strivers are much quicker to forgive others their faults and failures, especially in the normal flow of work life, than they are to forgive themselves. I am not saying that we should be wantonly self-indulgent or set low standards for ourselves. I am saying that we need to take responsibility for our mistakes, apologize when appropriate, make amends as necessary, and then let it go. Forgiveness is not exoneration, saying that there are no consequences. Neither is forgiveness a statement that something didn't happen, didn't matter, or shouldn't be addressed. Forgiveness is refusing to linger on the bad thing that happened, either by commission or omission. It is addressing the fault or failure and then refusing to allow it to inhibit future action. Forgiveness is letting go of all guilt, condemnation, or pessimism that can occur after a failure. Treat yourself with the compassion and generosity you'd extend to another person who had made a mistake or fallen short of an ideal or goal. Put yourself on a path of personal encouragement toward a brighter tomorrow. Forgive yesterday, let it go, and work on today. One of my past coaches had a 2-hour rule. If you had a bad performance, then you had 2 hours. You could pout, scream, cry, crawl into cave, and isolate yourself, or do whatever you think will help you deal with the disappointment. But when the 2 hours post-event are up, no more. It is time to start moving forward again. In a weight loss study of people who had trouble with binge eating, researchers found that just 1 day of self-compassion training tripled their long-term success. In another study involving dieting willpower, researchers found that self-compassion improved willpower to make smart choices and reduced the urge for emotional eating. Forgive yourself fast. Be compassionate to yourself. You'll recover from a failure faster and more fully. Forgiveness has been correlated with a wide range of benefits, including lower blood pressure, a stronger immune system, a reduction of stress hormones in the blood, fewer stomach problems, less back pain, fewer and less severe headaches, and more. The list of benefits is very long. If there's someone you need to forgive today, do so. If you need to forgive yourself, now is the moment. Keep on keeping on. But you may be asking, what about a work or home environment that is not all that great? Perhaps one that is downright painful or difficult. Isn't having an upbeat attitude hypocritical or fake? Not necessarily. One day I was at a local fitness center and I asked a man named Bob how he felt after a rigorous cycling class, which just happened to have been held on the 2nd of January, time when New Year's resolutions kick in. He looked at me with a get away from me, weirdo look. He was in pain and exhaustion, and there was nothing good about the experience. From his perspective, in that moment, when I asked a local cyclist how she felt after the class, she said, "Andy, it hurt so good." Attitude made the difference. Sarah saw benefit in her pain and exhaustion. Bob didn't, at least not yet. There's nothing at all hypocritical about being positive in a negative situation. There's only hypocrisy in voicing positive words about a negative environment if you truly feel negative. A positive word and a positive attitude in a negative world can make a difference for the good both of the person with the attitude and of others who witness a positive attitude turned into positive action. Change your day, not your life. The good news is that Bob came back 2 days later. The class was still difficult for him, but the more he attended over the ensuing weeks, the more he began to enjoy the exercise. To date, I've now seen Bob in that same class for over 2 years, and not only has he transformed his body, he has also learned to positively embrace the difficulty and the challenge in a motivating way. That is often true for many people who have a hard time. At the outset of facing a change, the challenge is to keep doing and not give up. Strivers very often have a mindset of getting through it. Thrivers have a mindset of getting into it. If you can make that mental adjustment, you are likely going to want to continue and persevere until the desired change becomes ingrained. To change your day, remember, your pursuit of excellence and your enduring in the patterns and attitudes that lead to success is predicated on values related to well-being, genuine hope, execution, and forgiveness. Explore more of the inner you. Choose to create an attitude that becomes the atmosphere in which you live and work. Attitude is not something to be put off or put on. It's something that becomes the glue that binds all of your best efforts together. It is the very core of your integrity and your ability to integrate work and life. Nothing impacts your day or the degree to which you can change your day as much as your attitudes. About your day and about all of your life,